Lava from Lurnby here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the changes that I've released to the application recently. So one of the things that's definitely come to my attention is that when usage, not usage, but yeah, usage scales, essentially when you start getting a lot of content into the application, into your account, a lot of the UX becomes a little bit difficult, right? And this is a great thing to have discovered kind of in the early stages while testing, because it means I can begin to kind of think about what the user experience should be, not only when the app has very little content, but when you start to use it kind of more frequently. So here you can see this is my account, and I have quite a bit of content already in here. I've got over 100 articles, things that I'm reading. These include books, articles from the web, things like that. And then I have a lot of highlights that I've done kind of within those books, articles, that I'm putting into different topics. And so I'm rethinking a lot of that UX, because when these numbers end up getting that high, it becomes quite a bit of a challenge to actually find what you're trying to look for. And so one of the first things that I discovered was that for me, even just finding what I wanted to keep reading if I didn't finish it the first time around was a bit of a challenge. And so I've done that in quite a simple way, is that now I've added this recently read section. So the top 3 things that you've read recently will appear kind of up top. After that, things will kind of go normal. Things that you're reading, again, things that are brand new that you haven't even touched yet, but that you've added in, are there. And then things that are still in progress, right? So this just is a simple, quick fix in order to just make it easier to find what you're looking for. The next thing that I've started to do is really begin to think about some of the other features that are important in this application, like the ability to kind of practice and remember more. And I've built a first version of that, which we'll kind of talk about in a second. So we're rethinking a few things, and quite a bit of it is also how do you work with highlights. So we have over here kind of like that first version, this is the topics page, which is probably at this point not the best user experience for kind of being able to do anything here, so I'm still thinking about what to do, but you can see all of your different highlights organized into the different topics that you have, right? So these are different groups, ideas that are similar. The application lets you group them together so that you can start to build these chunks, right? And connect ideas together into larger places in your memory, right? It helps to remember when things are connected, and also to understand the different facets of some kind of an idea. So that's kind of what we have here, right, is this idea of kind of doing that. But reviewing that and remembering that is also a very important component of this, and that's where we're building out this review function. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was have a way for me to begin to practice and come back to the information that I deemed important, right? So anything that I highlight and anything that I organize is something that I think is like, hey, this is worth remembering, right? There's something about this quote that I think is great. And so we've built version 1, by we I mean I've built version 1 of this kind of review thing, right? And basically what it does is it kind of resurfaces your different highlights to you, and it surfaces them according to a spaced repetition algorithm that's basically just spacing it out over days. And so what we actually have is we have 7 tiers, 8 tiers actually, sorry, from 0 to 7, right? So when you have something brand new, it'll show up again 1 day later for you to review. When you review that and you say, yes, I remember that, it goes to 3 days, and the next time you would see it would be in 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 90 days, right? So you're kind of getting the idea that basically new information needs to be practiced more frequently. Information that's not so new, it's enough to just resurface it into your practice schedule, essentially over periods of time. And it gets to a point where it's enough to review something once a year for it to kind of really be part of your memory. So that's something that we're trying to build here, and this is the first version of that, which what it does is it takes your highlights and it organizes them. And you can see over here that I've currently, this is a new feature, so we just started. I've only got 2 tiers so far. I've got tier 1, which is things that are now 3 days after I've reviewed them. And then tier 0, which are these are brand new highlights, things that I've highlighted that have not been reviewed yet, essentially. And then basically there's a few things that you do, is that so over here you just kind of see this, and then you can kind of reread your highlight and try to think, what was the thing here, what was it that I tried to remember, or why did I highlight this? You can open it up to kind of view the details, right? You can see where it was from, and you can see any notes that you had, and as well, if you did sort it into any different topics, you can see which ones you added something to. And then as I look at it, I kind of make a decision like, oh, okay, yeah, I did remember, right? So this was something that I remembered. This idea is still fresh, and I remember very clearly why I highlighted it. So I would click I remember. Or if I didn't, I would click I don't remember. And then what those do is essentially 2 different things. When you click I didn't remember, it stays in the same tier, right? So this will, if I click I don't remember, this will show up again tomorrow for me right here. If I clicked I remembered, saying this idea was very fresh, then it moves into tier 1, at which point the next time I will see it, or could see it, would be 3 days from today. And then same thing, in tier 1, anything that I'm seeing, if I choose I didn't remember, it stays here. If I did remember it, or if this was a familiar idea to me, I say, yep, this is good, and that will then move towards 7 days. And so the next time I would see this would be 1 week from today, and it would appear in a section below called Review Tier 2. So basically that's the first version of this, right? Just a way to kind of surface these things again and kind of begin to move them like, okay, yes, review this again later. There's a lot of things that I can do and that I'm thinking of doing this, so if you guys have any ideas or stuff that would be helpful here, please do get in touch. But otherwise, yeah, hopefully, this is the first step of many things that I want to build in here to help kind of build knowledge, to help people remember more from what they're reading, and essentially to, learn better. That's it. Thanks.